just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I am Stacy Shelton. Well, let me tell you what I'm not first. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I'm not a diva, although people have said that. I am, the people who have met me, and some of you guys are here today on Twitter, so feel free to chime in when I talk about that. What I am, though, is a person who is very, very passionate about connecting people, and I believe in the power of relationship building. And so what I do is I help people learn how to build relationships that are lasting and productive, that are taken offline to build those powerful relationships. And I also create ways for people to communicate and kind of that space that Ivana was talking about. I'm all about authenticity. I'm all about creating that space so that you can communicate who you are outwardly and dominate your niche. So marketing, as we heard earlier today, is all about being the go-to person in your area that people think of first. So we're going to talk about how social media helps you market that brand. And who is using social media now? So I know some of you are using it heavily because I talked to you guys, and I don't think any of you who use it heavily use it more than me. But and I will show you, you'll see, because I took snapshots of my stream today. But when we talk about social media, I'm just going to skip forward and social networking, because that's really what it is. You're using these social media tools to network online with people as far and as wide as you want to go. So if you want to just follow people locally, I can, teach people how to find those people. If you want to network with people all over the world like I do, I can teach you how to do that too. But basically what we're talking about is building those relationships using web-based tools. Most are free. Most of them are free. Sharing information, forging communities of practice. So when I say communities of practice, I'm talking about people who build communities. And I don't know if any of you have heard about Seth Godin, tribes. So building those communities of practice, finding those tribes, those people who follow either you, what you do, what you have to offer, building those communities of practice so that you can move forward in promoting and projecting your brand. And I like to call it a worldwide cocktail party. So those of you who use Twitter, would you agree with that? I think that's the best analogy I can use. It's conversations that are going on real time in real life all the time, all day long. And so when I think about how to teach people how to communicate on those tools, think of it as a cocktail party. You're just talking and chatting. Some people respond. People are huddling over conversations here and having conversations about information here, there, everywhere. So it's just a fun party. Oh, there we go. So why I feel that social media is the most effective tool for somebody who is on a budget, somebody who is trying to build their business maybe from the ground up, who is just getting started, is because it is a high degree of exposure. Just want to throw some numbers at you because I do get these people that want to challenge me on social media and go, yeah, right. Well, why? And how can it work for me? And how does it translate to $1? Okay, well, there's over 250 million, which now is 500 million because that has gone up, users on Facebook. Over 10 million people on Twitter. So those are global, worldwide, real-time people who are there. So if you have a web business especially, or if you have a business where you're going to travel and you don't, logistics and geography doesn't hinder you, that's huge. And you never have to leave your house if you don't want to, or your office. If you're mobilely connected to a laptop, a computer, an iPhone, a BlackBerry, all of these social media access points have applications and tools so that you can access them real time anywhere. So you get all of this exposure. It is a global community. You can get real-time feedback from real people. So I have used social media to poll my audience to find out what I need to talk about next, what I need to teach about next. People comment on blogs and find out what is going on in their area. I get a lot of feedback on relationship building, communication, because that's what I talk about a lot. So you have those people, and that's free data mining, if you will. If I have, and I'll throw you guys out some of my numbers later, if you have people following you who you've built relationships with and you're talking to them and they're talking to you, they will help you. They will provide information. So we talk about staying up on current trends. I follow probably about 3,000 people. And when we talk about that circle, I have web designers, I have life coaches, I have motivational speakers, I have developers, I have musicians, I have gurus and experts that I follow. And so I read what they share. And I get educated on what they do. I get educated on what they know. So now not only is what I know out there, but my reach is being broadened. So you can learn information that way. And you're building those relationships with potential customers and peers. So for those of you who are using social media already, how many of you have gotten a customer or gotten a lead from social media? Who wants to share something with me? Can somebody tell me? Go ahead.
Huge amount of connections through LinkedIn.
Great. I mean, this speaking engagement is something that I met Kelly, started participating in office space co-working from a Facebook ad. So just playing around on Facebook, saw his ad. Oh, do you work from home? Oh yeah, I work from home. Let's check this out. Came down, joined. So now I'm income from him. He's promoted me, got me income. So it just goes on and on and on. So when we talk about social media sites, these are just some of the ones that are available to you. And when I teach people how to approach social media, I kind of use a triangular approach. You have your content, which you create, and you have your community. So your content is created. Here, I'll show you how I draw it so you guys can see. So you have maybe a web presence, right? And I call it like a multimedia presence. And then you have your community, if that makes sense. So content is created on these two ends of the, that's my husband. So content is created here. So maybe your blogs, and then your multimedia, which is your YouTube, your Ustream TV, your Flickr stream. So this is your pictures, your voice, that kind of multimedia. You create content here and here. Well, you build relationships here, and the content gets shared to these people, right? And then they share outward with their various communities, and I'll show you guys a little bit about that. And so what I recommend to people is that they use some sort of a blog, some sort of a multimedia. You're going to need a web URL shrinker, which we'll talk about a little bit. So these are like the most common tools. I didn't put LinkedIn up there, but LinkedIn is a good one because that's more of the professional networking. If you join groups, if you talk about things and you just get what you're doing out there, people come to you based on the groups you share, based on the information that you share. So this is kind of you and the ways that you're getting your message out to the community. So I want to share a couple success stories because I know there are naysayers and I know there are people that go, I really don't see how this can work for me. So I'm going to share some stories with some people that I've interacted with or known who have used social media successfully to make a huge impact pretty quickly. So the New York Times, when Barack Obama was running for president, wanted to try to leverage the fact that newspapers are dying out a little bit and they're struggling with how to gain readership and audiences. And so they thought it would be a good idea to ask people questions about what they thought Barack Obama would do when he first got in office. So they put that out on Facebook. They set it up as a viral campaign to get fans. So they put this question out to the community. It came up as an ad. They ended up getting 180,000 fans, which raised their awareness. And those numbers are kind of low because you can see some pages on Facebook where people have 2 million fans, 10 million fans. But they got over 180,000 fans, raised awareness to bring their business to a new demographic. Because Facebook is a younger demographic. It started out as a site for college kids and kind of grew into this huge social media platform for everybody. So they got that, and then they engaged community about the selection. Their readership went up, so that was a good thing. This next guy is somebody that I actually know and interact with who has recommended me and had me on his blog. His name is Jonathan Gunser, and Gunson, and he is in Australia or New Zealand. But he had a book called The Merlin Mystery, I think it was, and he sold over 350,000 copies of his book just using Twitter. So he created this viral campaign where he said, I have a mystery, you need to solve it for me. And everybody that buys the book and tries to solve this mystery, the money goes into the pot. And whoever solves the mystery wins this big pot of money. So you watch this pot of money grow, 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 grow. So 350,000 copies of the book, nobody solved the mystery. So he ended up giving a lot of the money away to charity. But that's just one story, and just promoting it on Twitter. Just promoting it on Twitter. So we'll talk about Twitter a little bit later. This guy, Mo Aurora, who is in Canada, who is another friend of mine that I've met on social media, he used Twitter alone to create buzz and got 14,000 downloads of one of the songs for an artist he was promoting in 48 hours. So that's huge. That is a huge, think about if 14,000 people came to your site and bought just one thing from your site, or came into your business just from somebody, hey, saying, hey, look at this, check this out. So huge impact. And then this one is my favorite. A lady named Stacy Monk owns, or not owns, but has a nonprofit organization called Epic Change, and they do global outreach primarily in Africa. So who was on Twitter and remembers Tweetsgiving? Was anybody around? Tweetsgiving was just like this crazy, out of control, viral Twitter experience. So she decided, like literally, because I know the people who worked on her project the week before, that she wanted to raise $10,000 to build a classroom in Tanzania. So she engaged a web designer, Vincent Hunt, and she talked to some other people. She has a team of people that she works with. They set up a site, they created a logo, and you know a domain name only costs you, what, $9.99 to buy your .com. So you can set up a web address or a blog relatively cheaply. But she set up the site, got the logo, the little turkey there with the Tweetsgiving. Some high-profile bloggers got a hold of it, and then other people that knew people that were connected to people on the team started tweeting about this and saying, hey, we're going to talk about Tweetsgiving. We have 48 hours to do this. She started at noon on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. By about 7 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, she had already met her goal. So in 48 hours, she raised $10,000 just using Twitter, nothing else. So people tweeting about it. So Stacy at the time, I can't even remember how many people she was connected to, but the people she was connected to heard her message, then they shared the message, then they shared the message, then they shared the message. So in 48 hours, $10,000. So again, a little creativity, a little relationship building, and good communication can get you there. Can get you there. Whoop, me and this. So your toolkit, what do you need? So how do I get started? What do I need? You need to be on a social network. I don't care which one you use. Some people like LinkedIn, some people don't like LinkedIn. Some people like Facebook, some people don't like Facebook. Some people love Twitter, some people haven't used it at all. I love Twitter and Facebook. Those are the ones I recommend because they're more social. And if you're a very social person like I am, I like to talk, I like to tweet, I like to laugh, I like to sing, that's a good way. I highly recommend that you have some sort of blog or web presence. Again, getting that content out to people, so a way to share the information. Marketing has changed a little bit. In the 80s, websites were one big commercial. So it was me, 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 me. You need to buy from me. Well, now, if you look at websites now, they are very, very interactive. People are coming for content. They're coming to say, okay, how can you help me? So if you look at some of the more successful websites, some of the more successful bloggers, they are sharing content every day. So I know Anita talked about this morning, when you're blogging, sharing that content every day, that content creation. So people, if you've heard in marketing, they say content is king. So creating that content. So I recommend the website or blog for that. Microblogs are the sites like Twitter, and they're popping up everywhere. I was tweeting this today from Brightkite, which feeds into Twitter, which you can share pictures. So some sort of microblog. The benefit of a microblog is you only have 140 characters to work with. So basically what you're doing is creating headlines all day to get people's attention, to get them to come to your site. And I'll talk a little bit about how to do that. Those video multimedia sites, some people don't like to write. Are there any of you who don't like to write in here? You don't like to write? You don't like to blog? Like if somebody said, okay, for you to be successful, you need to have a blog and write on it every day, and you would go, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, you might feel comfortable in front of a camera and talking that way, and I know Dolores does that. So you might want to have a YouTube or, you know, a blog talk radio where you're doing more voice or more showing your face, just more talking. And then those URL shrinkers, because when you're on Facebook and you're on Twitter, a lot of you guys are going to be sharing links to websites, either your own or someone else's. And can you close that door for me? And when you're sharing those links, some of those web links can be like 40, 60, 100 characters, depending on how they tagged it. Well, a URL shrinker will make it 25 characters or less. So tinyurl.com or tinyurl, tinyurl.com or is.gd are two good ones that will make your web address very short so you can share it easily on those social media sites and you're not taking up room because they just look ugly. You know, you're saying I want to have a really big heart and a really big house.com//today.yesterday.forever. I mean, you get these really long addresses and you want to make them pretty. So the URL shrinkers help you with that. So here's my reach, relate, release. And that's kind of what I talked about, that triangular approach. The first thing you have to do is create that reach. So you got to reach out to people and build relationships. So in social media, that means friending people on Facebook, connecting with people on LinkedIn, following people on Twitter. So you'll hear people throw those terms out. And basically what you're doing is you're connecting with these individual people. Well, once you start those connections, you got to start talking to them. So I just got a new client who was saying, oh, I'm not getting anywhere with social media. I've been on here for 6 months. I'm on Twitter. I hate it. I only have 80 followers. So I looked at her stream and I said, well, let me look at what you're doing. So let me look at your social media presence, your web presence, what you're doing. So when I looked on her site, it was just a bunch of posts. It was just link to my site all day long, link to my site, or I'm doing this. So it was, here's my post about this, and a link. Then 20 minutes later, here's my link to my post. So the people who started following her, there's no interaction. They just kind of fell flat. So nobody was sharing her message. And it's just like regular networking. If you met me at a party and I go, let me tell you all about me. I really don't care about you, but you just need to hear all about me. Would that work for you? Not at all. How fast would you be going, oh my God, get away from me? And you, even though you might be polite, because you look very polite, like you would never say that to me, but you would probably avoid me like the plague for the rest of the party. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Who of you would be kind to me anyway? So it's like that in social media. You have to balance those conversations with sharing information, just like a real relationship. If you have a friendship with somebody and when you call them on the phone, all they're doing is, hey, how are you doing? Well, guess what I did today? I did this, 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 and this, and oh, I had this great experience, and it's all about me, blah, blah, blah. And then when, you know, you're like, oh, that's great, let me tell you about my day. Oh, you know what, I gotta go. That's how that feels in social media, when there's no interaction. So you want to have that interaction. So that's that relate piece. So start relating to people. So once you start following the people, once you start meeting the people, start talking to the people. Talk to them. At Twitter, that's that @reply. So if you ever see on Twitter, people have the @ and their name, you're talking publicly out into the stream. So talk to people. It's like you're at the cocktail party. Hey, Jody. So people know my tweets. I'm like talking to Jody Brooks all the time. So you're talking to people, so you have to relate. So look at their profiles. Look at what they're about. Talk to them about them. Read what they're doing. Look at other people's streams and see what they're doing. It's a great way to learn. Plus, it's a good way to touch base, connect, and relate. And then you start releasing information. So once you started to build that reach, you start relating to people, then release the information. Then they trust you, they know you. They don't have a problem sharing what you do. I tweet about Noah all the time.
She does.
Because he's great. And you know why? Because he talks to me. He talks to me. He said hi. And I said hi. And this is all in public and online. I'm like, you're in Akron. We need to get together. And he was like, we do. And I'm like, oh, he's so nice. And so then I go, well, I want to know more about him. So I went to his website, and then it was phenomenal. And I'm like, oh, he's all into affirmations and positive development, and I love that stuff. So guess what I did for free? Promoted. And I do it every Friday, because Follow Friday is like a big holiday. And I do it whenever I think about him and whenever he talks to me. And so he gets all this free promotion because I just love connecting people. And I do. I love it. It gets me going. It is phenomenal. I mean, and that's all it takes. It is free marketing. Now, how much would that cost if you have this PR person? Because I am pretty good at PR. How many followers do people who I tweet out get? Some guy asked me, please stop. Chris.
Don't stop.
Right. He's like, Jody said, Stacy Shelton tweeting out your name is like a tweet bomb. Yeah. But I have built that reputation. I have built that clout. I have built that trust. I have an authentic relationship with people. I started relating. And so now I started tweeting, and this guy sent me a note back. I do a Follow Friday post about relationship building, and he was like, I think I got about 800 followers net since you started tweeting about me. So over a couple weeks. So it's real for the, and now he's a web designer, so people are going to his site, people are hiring him. And that didn't cost him anything. It cost him a few minutes of online networking and engaging the right people. So you do have to pay attention. You do have to relate. I mean, I'm not going to relate to, I mean, there are some people on Twitter that you go, ooh, yeah, you're scared. I mean, there are. It's the web. I mean, it's like anything else. And I know a lot of people are very reluctant to use the tools because they're like, ooh, the internet. It just reminds me of that 80s internet dating thing. And you're talking to people you don't know, and ooh, I don't think I could do that. So you do need to watch. I mean, I read profiles. I don't follow everybody back. I look to see what they're talking about. If they don't have a website and they don't have a blog where I can hear what they have to say, I don't follow them because I can't get to know you. So you get to know people by what they share, what they post, and you build those relationships offline, or you build those relationships online, so when you meet them, they can, you know, go further. So once you have done this, so you build your relationships, you create your content, you have your multimedia content, or you have your web content, you share that out to your network. Now, not everybody is going to share everything. Not everybody is interested in everything you have to say, but people do share it. So once they hear it, if they like you, they trust you, and you've built a relationship, they start sharing. Then somebody else reads what you shared, and they go, oh, I like that, and they start sharing. And so it just goes on and on and on. So that's why now I have people following me in Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Iceland, Canada, Brazil. Now, I don't sell a whole lot on the web. I do consulting. I'm going to be transitioning and doing some of those things that Anita talked about earlier to improve my business, because I'm going to do more webinars, I'm going to do more classes, because people can't hire me to come everywhere. So, but they'll hire me to do a webinar, or they'll buy a book. So, you know, I have to transition and make some changes so that it's worth my while to do this. So if you have a product, if you have a service, if you have something that you're selling, it's much easier to make that income. So for the keys to success, and I try to make it easy if you use acronyms and stuff like that, people remember. So it's about relationships, because it's about building relationships, creating those authentic spaces, gaining trust. Because let's face it, you're not going to buy or interact or hire somebody that you hate. So you have to build relationships. Don't try to be anybody else, just be you, that's fine. But you got to make those connections with the community. So the community is whoever you're connected to at the time, and it keeps growing and growing and growing, if that's what you do. Then you have to communicate. So once you make the connection, you have to talk, you have to communicate, you have to have some content. You got to have something to say. So people always go, what should I talk about? Well, the way to be a niche dominator, in my opinion, and again, I'm not an expert, a diva, or a guru, is to talk about what you are about and what you're passionate about. So if you are a doctor and you're trying to have a presence on Twitter, talk about health. If you are like Noah and you're doing helping people break down barriers and be successful, talk about that. Share information for people. Become a resource. You want to become the resource for people. You want to be the first person they think of when they think success. I want to be the first person people think of when they say, oh, I need a social media consultant. I need somebody to help me get up to speed on my social media game. I want to be the first person people think of. So I share information on how to be successful in that. I do talk about a lot of other stuff, though.
That's all right, though.
It is okay. I got like what?
You would not go to a party.
And just talk about social media.
No, you wouldn't.
That is right.
And you wouldn't go to a party empty-handed either. That's very bad taste. You would always bring a bottle of wine or something for a hostess, right?
I would, and so I bring positivity and happy tweets, yes.
That's I don't know if you're going to cover this or not, but the separation of personal and business. Like I tend to put business on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Twitter's everything.
Twitter is everything. Facebook is personal. People use them differently, and I don't segment them that closely, especially now with the evolution of Facebook, because Facebook is trying to take over everybody's niche. And so they do the LinkedIn stuff. You can join groups on Twitter. You can now do those Facebook pages to promote your business. So they kind of got smart because they watch everybody and try to say, oh, well, how can I keep more people coming to me? Because Twitter just blew up and they started getting scared. So that's when they did that, hey, we're going to redesign Facebook, and everybody went, oh. But people that had loved Twitter went, woo!
That was just like Twitter.
Yes.
Right down the middle.
So it was, that was really fun. But I do use LinkedIn for business, but I can only be me. So I'm like happy, positive person. And so my LinkedIn page is not the professional. I have done this, and this, and I've strategized. I help people make relationships. Call me. That's what I do. I can only be me. So I recommend that, but I do use them differently. Because they just function differently. And they do have different audiences. So I do agree, not to minimize that you do need to use them a little bit differently.
I'm just going to ask, do you feel like there's at what point does sort of self-promotion become sort of a breach of the relationship? Is there
Well, good question. Yes. Okay, so I wrote a blog post. I'm rolling my sleeves because that's what I love. I wrote a blog post called, Why Do You Come to the Party? And the first thing I said is, do not shove your business card in everyone's face. When you meet somebody, you do not walk up to them and go, hey, here you go. You go, hey, who are you? Tell me about you. And so you have to balance that. If you are in it to make money, you have to share information. But you don't want to be self-promoting, hard selling. Buy from me. And I've had people try to hard sell me. So they built the relationship, and then they were like, you need to hire me. And you go, ooh. It just didn't feel right. Let me get interested in you, and so, yes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No, go ahead.
Well done. You guys know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh, yeah, Gary V. Gary V on Twitter.
If you don't know, it's Gary V-E-E on Twitter.
Yeah.
And just, anyway, he's a good friend of mine. And
He is
he's
awesome.
An amazing guy. If he started WineLibrary.com, which he's a wine reviewer. So, what does it have to do with anything with social media? But he just got this. He's a very smart guy.
He is good.
My point here is he talks about the New York Jets. He talks about chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the Smurfs or something.
Whatever.
But he makes it work because that's his personality.
Yes.
He's just he's such a giving and just fun person. So you go, the Jets, but I mean, he lives and dies by the Jets, and so you just know that because he's branded that as him and what, even I was talking about personal branding and stuff too. So just see who you are, but also, I actually just made up a new verb while you were talking.
You did? See, I love that.
To resourcitate.
I like it. Resourcitate.
Yeah.
So like resuscitate, but resources?
Become a resource.
Amen.
But also you're breathing that resource to other people. So you resourcitate.
And that, folks, is why I tweet about Noah St. John every day. I do.
Well, I hope somebody tweets it.
Oh, we do. I will be tweeting. And who's that saying? There's going to be a lag in the BizCamp coverage because you're not tweeting. I'm like, I'm sorry. Jody's tweeting. So once you've made that connection and you've got that communication and you've got some content, you got to get creative. It can't just be posting a link every day. So you have to get creative. I would recommend that people learn about good copywriting, how to build a good headline. So get that information. You got to catch people's attention. So one day I was like, do you want to learn how to be phenomenal? And everybody, I got so much response. Of course people want to know how to be phenomenal. And so you have to engage people creatively. and I don't have a lot of time, so I can't talk about a whole lot of stuff, but Tweets Giving was a creative way to engage the community. You see people that make these viral content videos. Just be creative. If you have a wacky idea, Twitter is a great place to test it, because if nobody shares it, no big deal. You go on to the next tweet. You don't have to spend a ton of money on that stuff, but get creative with your headlines. Don't be too cliche. Be creative, but if you have something interesting, what is more interesting? It's read my post about how to build better relationships, or is it 5 ways to make people never want to leave you? Which post would you go, I want to know what that is? So you got to get creative with your copywriting, and that's very effective on Twitter especially, because you only have 140 characters. And so if you use that great killer headline with a link to your blog, now you've driven that traffic to your site. And if that is about a product, you've driven people to that product. If it's about a speech you're giving, you've driven people to that message. So you want to drive people to the message. So that's that creativity, but you gotta be consistent. And I see people make this mistake all the time. They get out there, they want to gain followers. I just had this lady text me about some competition, and she's like, this lady wanted to charge somebody $15,000 for a social media plan, and she guaranteed them 5,000 followers on Facebook. And I'm like, you'd rather build a good relationship slowly over time than have that 15 minutes of fame and nobody's talking about you tomorrow. And the way to get that is to consistently communicate with the community. If I befriended you and I was talking to you every day for weeks, and then all of a sudden you stop hearing from me, where's that relationship gonna go? And so you gotta remember there are real people on these platforms. They're real people, and they start to care about you. If I talk to you every day, and I'm very, the people who follow me, I'm very positive, and I affirm a lot. I affirm people a lot. I just think it's important and it's great. So my tweet stream is full of, oh my God, you're so awesome, I love you, you rock. And am I lying? That's pretty much how I am.
Good feeling. Whenever you need a good feeling, follow Stacy. She's great.
And then one day, last week, or was it last week that I was off, Jody, that I got pulled to do an audit?
I missed you.
I was like, oh my God, what's left brain is the right brain is the creative, right? That's me. I was in left brain hell. It was awful. I was helping out with an audit, but I was gone. And then people were tweeting about, oh my God, where is she? We miss her. That's what you want. That is what you want. You want people talking about you for weeks and weeks and weeks, whether you're there or not. And you get that with the consistency. I'm on there every day talking to people, and I tweet a lot. And so one of the most common questions I get, so I'll just attack it now, is, well, that sounds like a whole lot of time. I don't have time. You have enough time. Whether it's 15 minutes a day doing it, or if you're like me, I do it all day long. I do it all day long. I leave TweetDeck open when I'm working, and when I have a thought, I just pop over to TweetDeck, which is how you interact on Twitter. It's just an application. Well, let's just say I pop over to Twitter. And I pop over to Twitter and I talk. And then I go back to working. So, I share those thoughts and I share things like that. But I have that consistent creating community and talking all at the same time. So people depend on you being there. And that's one of those things that builds that trust. If you're not consistent and you're not talking to people and making those connections, they won't trust you. And so when you share stuff, they're like, that's okay. I'm going to go share with people I trust. So you have to have that consistency. So that's my 5C approach to get that done. So my picks, and I talked about this, Twitter, I recommend you get with it and try to play around with it. You can follow me if you want to see how people interact, and I don't know if I'm a really good case study, but I talk a lot on there.
What's your Twitter ID?
Stacey J. Shelton, everything is my name. STACI, J Shelton. I already been tweeting about you today. And this is wrong. This is wrong. I forgot to fix this number. It's over 10 million users, so I apologize for that. But it is a great way to market and communicate. It is global networking. And every day, because Twitter is so hot, developers are building new tools to interface and leverage Twitter effectively. So you have TweetDeck. Go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit about the age change on those tools?
With?
Just from
Oh,
what I
with
understand,
Facebook?
It's no longer teenagers. It's
Oh, no.
Over 30 is
Oh,
the
no.
first
Yeah, the demographic. It started out as a college site for college kids to network, but now there's everything. And now because it's become so attractive and everybody knows it's there, businesses are hitting it. So you have all these businesses now that are like, ooh. And so you see these little ads on Twitter. And if you are a business owner, I would say selling ads on Twitter or having Twitter pay for or buying a Twitter ad doesn't cost you a lot. It's like pay-per-click, you set a budget. And so if you can build a following, on Facebook. If you can build a following on Facebook, that's not a bad way to advertise your business to a large community. Those of you who have big groups of people following you on Facebook, or build a Facebook page, because you can get those ads cheap. Because I think the ad that I clicked on for Kelly, on the day I clicked on it, he told me he spent about 12 cents.
It's
So,
very simple to do target marketing on.
Very.
On that.
And they do a lot of it for you.
That's what. That's
You're
my
doing,
model.
yes, that is your model. And then so that's Twitter, Facebook. Now that's up to what, 500 million, I think now? Thousands of business applications. It integrates and interfaces with almost everything. So every day that's changing. People are building stuff every day because those are the hot sites. And so developers are building tools that work with these things. You heard of Facebook Connect. So now some things you don't even have to log into you don't even have to log onto the site. If you have a Facebook profile, you can use Facebook to log into their sites. That's how powerful that is. So it's more informal. They're both good for networking. So those are my two picks. I do like LinkedIn. I just don't get over there a lot. I use LinkedIn very strategically, though. I look at who people connect to professionally and what groups they're in, and that's how I network on LinkedIn. So, but this is more talking and socially networking, and so those are the ones I use primarily. So I wanted to show you my Facebook page, which is an old shot, but it's just so you can see how I communicate. I'm like, the key word in social media is social. Make connections, be real, blah, blah, blah. If you're on Twitter, come see me. So I cross-promote. So people that are on Twitter know where to find me, if they're there, if they're on Facebook. And I was just like, really glad not to be in the office. Tired, woo. I tweet and communicate like I talk. And so when people meet me face-to-face, they already know me. Isn't that right, Noah? So Noah, we met face-to-face yesterday, even though we talked for weeks, and he knew who I was.
I saw it from across It's gotta be Stacy.
He knew who I was. I posted a real picture of myself. I will say you need to do that if you can. Post a real picture of yourself. For me, my name is my brand. I talk and teach and train for a living, so I want that name recognition. So I got a real picture of me that was taken here. And it looks just like me. So when he said, "You're Stacy," I'm like, it must be the hair. Because everybody knows about my hair, my wild hair. But I talk and communicate. So kind of to answer your question again, Jason, just the way I talk. So people get to know you and trust you. And then I share those links. So later on, I was like, are you still having trouble setting goals for 2009? This will help. It helped me. And I wrote a blog post about my approach this year. That I was inspired by Chris Brogan, who is a big blogger. So I did that. I want to show you a couple shots of Twitter. And just to show you the potential of Twitter and growth. So this was my old Twitter page. I've changed it. This shot was taken, because I take them periodically to kind of drive my point home. I took this in January. So in January, I had about 899 people following me. So this is what Twitter looks like. It's how many people you are following, how many people are following you, and how many updates you've made, how many individual communications. So this is the home page. This is everybody I was following at the time. And at the time I took that picture, who was talking and what they were saying. So you got Guy Kawasaki saying, at Sasha Nagy, he's actually talking to that person live out in the stream where everybody can see. So he's having those communications. And he's saying, this should shed some light upon the subject. So she must have posed a question, and he said, this will help, and so he sent a link out. Well, but everybody's hearing. So it's like you're at a cocktail party, and you're saying, Jody's like, I'm looking for a job. And I go, well, here's a great job site. And everybody around goes, ooh, let me write that down. So that's kind of how that works on Twitter. So you got Chris Garrett, Tojo Sin. I know all these people. I talk to them like every day. But so it's like who's following, how many updates. At replies are the people talking to you publicly, that at sign before their Twitter ID. People can message you privately behind the scenes where nobody can see it. But at the time I had about 899 people following. This is going to kill me. 899 people following. Here's a picture I took this morning. So, and I follow people organically. I don't use any bots. I don't use any of those programs that can get you 20,000 followers in 2 days, because I don't want to do that. I want to build the authentic relationships that are going to last over time. And you do that by interacting with people. But as you can see, I tweet a lot because I've gotten up to now, instead of 889 people following, like today, 3,600 I'm following, and I don't really agree with these numbers. I don't like to see low following and high followers. I used to laugh at those people and call them Twitter narcissists, because it's like, you want me to hear what you have to say, but you don't really want to hear what anybody else has to say. Well, then when I started getting some days where I got like 200 people following in a day, I had to go, ooh, that wasn't very nice, Stacy. And I read everybody's profiles. Before I follow back, I read. I want to get to know people. I want to have a way to connect with you. So it takes time, so I'm slowly following back, and I apologize daily because I'm working. I'm here all day, so today I'm not tweeting, and then when I am, I'm sent your picture out. Ha! So I'm sending pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, she is the best presenter, and I do this for a living. And then Jody retweeted it, so it just went everywhere. And so I hope she gets a lot of followers and some people buying some stuff and hiring her. That's what I hope. But now I have 5,000 followers. And so I guess if I logged in, it's probably more than that now, because today is Follow Friday. And Follow Friday is a big Twitter holiday where everybody sends out their favorite people they want you to follow. Usually on Follow Friday, I get anywhere from 200 people to whatever following me. Yes?
Is there any way that you could do a follow Akron Biz Camp and get everybody's Twitter name here?
Just use, I started a hashtag. So I started, it's BizCamp. So it's just BIZCAMP.
So we can all follow one another?
If you go ahead and use the BizCamp hashtag today, everybody that's tweeting about BizCamp, you can go into Twitter search and we can follow each other. So we already started a hashtag. Thank you. But if you go to search.twitter.com and just type in BizCamp, even without the hashtag, you'll find everybody that's tweeting about hashtags. Just go in and follow everybody. Great idea. Thank you. So how I got there was just what I was talking about earlier. Making that content, making those connections, being consistent, talking to people every day. Now people promote for me. So just like I promote for Noah, I'm not even on Twitter. If you went in and you today did my name, I guarantee you there are tons of people doing Follow Fridays on me. I've made the top Follow Friday probably 3 weeks in a row. One time I was in like the top 20 for people saying, follow her, she rocks.
What does it really mean when you're following?
Following means I am listening. These are the people I'm following. So I get their updates. I get to see what they're talking about. And so you have to balance reading. You know, you have to read these. And so you have to take a little time, you know, reading, looking, retweeting. But what you do is you build these communities. And so I have some people that I follow more closely, like Noah's in my group. Like I have a group of people. Dolores is in my group. You're in my group. Jody's in my group. I'll be putting DIY in my group now. So those are people that I follow more closely. TweetDeck lets me know when he's talking because I want to hear what he has to say, or I can search for him. Yes?
I want to know how you do that, because if you have all these people that I'm following, I don't want to hear every single time. So how do you get them in your group so that I know when you're saying?
I use TweetDeck.
Okay, I have TweetDeck, so what do I do?
So in TweetDeck, you can create a group. So let's say you saw one of my tweets. You would click on, there's a little here, I'll pull it up. Hold on. Woohoo! Hold on. Here, I'll show you real quick. All right. You can call it whatever you want. Like I have my core with a little heart, and then I ran out of room in groups, so I created another one, my core 2. And my screen is really big. It'll take a minute to load. What are you doing, Jody? You having a class? Jody's giving a little Twitter tweet that class.
Cocktail party analogy a little too.
But that's my friend, and so we do that all the time. She will. But Jody is like, what were we doing the other day? We tweet from here. So some days we would be working and tweeting to each other and talking to each other or talking about each other and laughing. We're like, oh my God, Jody just da-da-da-da-da-da. And then one time I was in a hurry and I was all freaking out about getting my website hosting up, and I spelled my name wrong.
That was great.
And I was like, it's not working. And she was like, did you type it? I'm like, of course it's my name. Well, I was Stacey J. Helton. And this TweetDeck is, oh, you know what? Kelly said it's acting up. It's not going up. But anyway, it never gives me problems.
Well, it's Twitter.
Anyway.
Problem, don't panic.
Oh, Twitter. Okay, so Twitter's doing something. But anyway, you go in, and if you have the people showing up, you click on, there is a little wheel at the bottom of everybody. If you hover over their icon, there's a little, looks like a little gear wheel. And it will say, you click on it, it'll say user, and you can say add to group, follow. And so you click on add to group, it'll prompt you to add the name of the group, and then you can add those people organically. So if you click, you see them and you click on them. So I follow people that talk to me, or people that I'm interested in what they're doing, people I like to promote, a little bit of everybody. And so TweetDeck is not cooperative. I can't remember how many you have in a group. All I know is I ran out of room, and so I had to create another one. And you can create more than one. I have no idea. I think it's less than that for a group, I think. I don't think I have 100 in my first stream.
But it's more than 20.
Yeah. But at any rate, I don't know that number. All I know is you could create more than one. Yes?
Let me ask you this. Do you at all use YouTube for the same purpose?
I personally don't, but I know people who do. And so I don't like to be in front of the camera. I'm trying to get out of that. But there are people who web blog, and so they, do their video blog. And so, yes.
Do you have any secrets on how to develop or how to get more hits or how you make your video go viral?
Same thing.
Same thing?
And then you got to be interesting. And I just wrote a post about that, about, what was the name of my post? Jody, what was the name of my post that I talked about? Ways to engage your readers without saying a word. We only got 3 seconds. People, and you can, if you track like Google Analytics, how your bounce rate, how long people stay on your site, you got about 3 seconds to catch their attention. So if you're flat, boring, uninteresting, I would recommend you have good lighting, you look great if you're doing it yourself. Look professional, look great, tape it in a great place, and then be energetic and interesting. Because if you're not, people leave. They leave. So you gotta, you have to be able to engage. And if that's not your thing, it's okay. Find what way you engage, and then do that. For me, I write, and so I come across pretty well in writing. So I write. I talk like this. So if somebody would tape this and put that out there, that would probably do better for me than me sitting in front of a camera. I just don't do well, so that's why I don't use YouTube. I do better if I'm interacting as opposed to just sitting under the camera. But some people do very well. Like Dolores does extremely well. I've seen some stuff she does, and it's just awesome. I'm like, I wish I could do that. I think she just needs to mentor me, and I'll be done. So how to get started? It is easy. Those of you who started using Twitter, at first were you freaked out? And would you agree it's easy? It's easy, and I just helped you exponentially. If this was the stuff that I didn't know when I first started, and that's why I had like 80 people following, but I do things intuitively. So I was just like, okay, Stacey, it can't be that hard. When you talk to and meet with people in real life, what do? You do that online. You would never just talk about yourself all day long. You would talk to other people. You would show interest in them, right? And you wouldn't just talk about you and expect people to promote for you and never promote for anyone else. So you have to help other people. You have to be a resource. In order to be a really good resource, the best businesses aren't intimidated by other people. They know what they do well, they do it well, but they help other people in the process. So I recommend getting a Twitter account, a Facebook or a LinkedIn profile, a website or a blog. And that could be a YouTube, that could be a website. I like personally web addresses because they just give that air of professionalism that you've taken some time, you've registered a real domain name. If you don't have the resources, that's fine. Blogger is good to get started and kind of play around with it. But when you can, get a website. So my website is www.stacyjshelton.com. And then you share that information, you interact, you connect, you find information by reading people's tweets. So if you look at, if I went back to my Twitter, I'm looking at what people talk about. And I don't have a lot because I took it this morning, but like today, Oprah did one of her tweets because Oprah's on Twitter today. That's all the rage. Like she's like a year and a half late, but that's okay. But you know why she's on there now? Because people were talking about it and the power of it. And so you got these high-profile people like Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore, Diddy, MC Hammer, Shaq. I love Shaq. I do, because he talks to people on Twitter. I've seen him say, I'm at this place for dinner, come meet me. And the next thing you see in his Twitter stream is pictures that he's taken with this person, because he's so open. He's so open. And so he's got a ton of people following. I was very proud that MC Hammer is following me because he does not follow everybody back. Those are the kind of things you do. You build those connections, you build those relationships. I have built relationships with people. I'm on board I got people wanting me to, I just got to find the time. I really have to do what Anita talked about today and say, okay, what do I need to be spending my time on? Because I've had 3 people ask me to help them write a book. I've had other people ask me to come help them do a conference. And I'm like, oh, okay. I have to look at my brand and say, okay, does this fit into what I do? And if it isn't, then don't do it. But literally, I'm getting these business opportunities pouring in, and it is mostly because of Twitter. It is mostly because of Twitter, because Facebook I use more personal. But I have people saying, hey, I want to have you come speak. Hey, I'm doing this conference. Hey, I want to offer you free stuff. So I've had people give me things. One of my favorite Twitter stories, and I'll share a couple. Before we go, we got to go. Tom V. Morris, so he's Tom V. Morris on Twitter, and I don't even know how he started talking to me, but whatever. Somebody told him I was really positive and happy, and hey, follow her, and he was like, great, so we started talking. Well, it turns out he's a Yale PhD, and he's a Huffington Post blog writer. So we talk every day. He DMs me, which is, I'm talking to you privately, I don't want to talk to you. Guess who else talks to me privately every day? Jody, would you like to tell them who talks to me every day privately?
Mariel.
Yes, I'm very proud. Very proud. Mariel Hemingway. Because I built that relationship. How you doing? I'm responding to what she's saying. She was like, oh my God, you're so awesome, I love you. And so even when I'm not there, I get a note from her. Hey, I was thinking about you today, I love you. I go, I rock! Because now, you gotta leverage that. I can't teach you how to leverage that. I don't even say I leverage it well most of the time because I just love people and it's just okay. It's enough for me. But I did ask her, you say such great things about me. Is it okay if I update my site with what you said? Because that's a nice endorsement. Did you agree? So those are the kind of things. You make those connections, you build those connections, and then people start to share outwards. So if you went on and you just try me out, search Stacey J. Shelton and Twitter search today, see what people are saying. See what people are saying. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm building those relationships. I'm building those connections. That's how I went from 800 followers in January to 5,000 today. And I'm not even trying to, get followers. That's not my goal. It's the relationships, because if I build good relationships and trust, no matter what I do, people will talk about it. I have people right now on Twitter that I don't care if I said I was going to fly to the moon tomorrow, they would go, Stacey is flying to the moon, and you need to help fund that. And that's what you want. That is what you want. And I have some of those people. I can count on them. And that number is growing because I'm making those connections. That number is growing. I have some people that it doesn't matter what I do, they're going to share, they're going to talk about it. So that's why I'm planning and I'm building that foundation. So when I write a book, like Noah did, it's a done deal. People are ready and waiting for it, and they're ready to spread the word for you. That's what you want to build. So I thank you. I took a little bit more time than I thought. Did anybody have any questions for me? I tried to answer them as I go. But have fun with it. I didn't say that, but have fun. Twitter is a blast. I love it, I love it, I love it. And thank you, and you rock. Man, oh my God. She was awesome. So thank you. Thank you. I'm like, I want to follow wherever she's going and presenting. I just listen all day. I had to leave. I'm like, oh, I got to go get ready. This is awful. Well, you guys have a good time at lunch, and I will see you. So, Stacy, I didn't, there's my stuff, because I walked off today and left all of my cards. I'm like, you're at a networking function and you left all your cards. And I didn't have any yesterday when Noah asked me. I'm like, what? I was with the kids. I'm like, what the heck? So it's www.stacyjshelton.com. I am Stacy J. Shelton everywhere. Google me. Everything is Stacy J. Shelton.